you very much. Is the online, can they hear me? I hope so. All right. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, we can, Anna.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Good. Awesome. So I'm here to talk about the patient summary. I think we can all conclude that you already heard the most essence of what we actually did deliver, as this was very much a joint effort across. But in regards to the patient summary, we had a different kind of challenge. Let's see if we move forward. The objective was to establish the requirements and the specifications for the EHRs, as we all know. But we already had a lot. The patient summary had been going on for almost 20 years at that point. And it has been a product that's evolved. It has been a product that has been implemented in some places. And there's a product that's supposedly being ongoing work to be implemented. So that was a challenge. We actually did think that this is not going to be so hard. We already have most of what we need, but it ended up being harder than we thought. So as part of what we were looking to do was also to see how can we align what we have with the IPS, because the IPS has been developed looking at what we did 20 years ago and the evolved, but it had also differed a bit. And then, of course, the LIMS that we heard about before. So as I said, the challenge, well, it is hard to change something that's been going on for a long time. It's like changing the operating system on our email boxes. No one likes it, right? So one of the big challenge was to move forward and make the necessary changes that were needed, despite the fact that it was already ongoing services. But we did do a lot of work looking at what is the compliance levels today. What have we actually been able to implement? What has not been able to be implemented? And that was a challenge in itself. And then looking at what can we evolve and what can we do to make this better in a EHDS situation. And then we had the value sets and the code systems. And that was another funny story. I think we quite quickly agreed that we need to move towards a solution where we have the same, but none of us is willing to change. And that does not really equal to success. So I wouldn't say it was war, because that's a bad word in this current time, but we ended up in discussions where we felt that this is not a situation which we can solve as a project. This is something that needs to be addressed at a higher level. So we connected with the eHealth network and the subgroup of semantics to say, okay, we need to have this work move somewhere else to make the principles of the selection of code systems set first. So as Daniel said, we did propose preferred code systems as part of our deliverable, but we also addressed that this is a bigger discussion that needs to be moved elsewhere. ICD-11 was a very clear topic where we need to put some principles down. When do we evolve from one version to another? It's not about which code system, it's about the addition of that code system. So there were a lot of principle questions that we needed to raise that were discussed in the patient summary. And then, as has been mentioned, the patient summary has a relationship, I believe, to all other prioritized categories. So we share a lot of the content, and it took us a while to get started, as Daniel said, but that involvement of making sure that we make it easy for implementers, not having to redo things that are similar, was a challenge, but I would say that we overcame that challenge. And end of the day, even though it was very hectic at the end, we did manage to get together across the different needs to get a good product out of it. Last challenge, CDA versus FHIR. As I said, patient summary has been going on for a long time, and it was developed as a CDA document. EHDS clearly states that this needs to be evolved. How do we do that? And how do we move from CDA to FHIR where it's already been implemented in CDA? This was a huge challenge, and it's a challenge that will continue, I believe, but we did try to specify it at least a little bit further. So I think I kind of touched on the achievements, but we did agree on alignment on the process of making sure we understand what has been done, how that could be implemented, was implemented, and how we want things to be in the future. We managed to put the policy and the principal issues on the agenda of the eHealth network. That work is ongoing and needs more work, but it's at least ongoing, which is for us an achievement. And then we had a huge interest from stakeholders, which was, of course, good as well. I think patient summary received most of the comments of proportions. Maybe we'll hear more about that later. So the next steps, well, as you know, there's a process. MyHealth EU is looking very much at making use of what we've done to evolve the products within MyHealth EU. That includes the CDA to FHIR process. So we're looking forward to see where that ends up. The co-systems I mentioned, work is being done, I think will be delivered this autumn. And it's in many ways the same kind of people that were in the project that are partaking in that project as well, or in that work as well. And then we have the implementing guides. Thank you, HL7, for the help of doing that. There is hopefully a publication at end of July for the patient summary specific. But once again, a lot of the patient summary is part of the common. The patient summary specific is actually quite a small part as we share, especially with the discharge report, but also with the other ones. All right, thank you very much.